wizard, Annie.
This is Anna from the Pop Prison Power Podcast, and this is the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malastare. You are listening to So Wizard.
You're thinking people gonna die?
The only podcast to make the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs.
There'll be no one to stop us this time.
What's going on, everybody? It is time for episode number 312.
Please welcome 311.
Chill. Not on the side is the eagle become. On the So Wizard Podcast, I'm your host, Joey DiCarlo. My co-hosts are the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield.
Here I am.
And the expert, Mr. Marquis, Marcellus Reagans.
Time is flying by. I could have swore this was episode 311. Whoops.
You are listening to So Wizard Podcast, where three friends discuss the world of nerd, podcasting weekly on the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. This week, we've got some news to talk about, and then we're going to jump into our review of the newest series on Netflix, direct from the pages of the comic books, Warrior Nun. But before we get into all that, how the hell is everyone doing? Aubrey, how are you?
I'm living the dream. I'm finishing up my summer classes this week. So, trucking along.
Excellent. And then when your classes are over, you have to start fall classes.
Yep. It never ends.
It's no fun.
It's got to end someday, right? It's going to end at some point.
That's what they say. But I don't know.
We'll see. We will see. Marcellus, how are you?
I am good, dude. I'm doing pretty good. I'm working on a new project, and I hope to have it done soon. Something that will be nice to kind of advertise the podcast. Putting a lot of work into it, and I think it's coming along pretty good. So I'm excited. I'm excited to finish it. I can't talk about it now because whenever I talk about a project I'm working on, it never comes out. Unhappy Grandma issue 3 to
Jesus.
Someday, though, it's going to happen someday.
My grandkids look forward to reading it.
And how are you doing, Joey?
Oh, I am exhausted working at my second job and my first real job. And like I've said the last couple of weeks, I've been working way too much at my second job. But it's all worth it when the checks come rolling in. So we'll see. I actually picked up extra hours on top of the extra hours this week. They asked and I could fit it in. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll take them. So I think I'm working about 30 hours there this week on top of 40 third shift at my other real job. So we'll see what I'm like at the end of the week. But right now I'm hanging in there. And I'm also very angry.
Okay.
Last night at I want to say maybe 8 p.m., Hasbro announced they were going to release a bunch of exclusive G.I. Joe classified figures at Target. Pre-order would be this morning at 9 a.m. And, logged on to Target.com, got ready to rock and roll, and they sold out within 15 seconds. And now they're immediately on eBay for triple and quadruple retail. So I don't know. I'm not happy about it. And if it's the only time they're going to make some of these characters, I'm going to be even angrier, but we'll see. We'll see. But that's my anger for today, and that is what's going on with me. But enough about us. Let's talk about us. Marcellus, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find more So Wizard Podcast?
All right, so everybody can go to SoWizardPodcast.com where you will find new episodes every week. You will sometimes find movie reviews from yours truly. Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu streaming picks from our buddy, the awesome Adam Mollyhawk. A great way to support our tiny little podcast is by doing your Amazon shopping through the link that we keep right on the website. Click on the Amazon logo, do your shopping, receive your products, and that way you'll be helping out our tiny little podcast. You can also find our social media links there. We have Facebook, we got Twitter, we got Instagram, so definitely get at us. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review while you're there. You can also find us on the Stitcher Radio app for your tablet or smartphone, Podbean, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, YouTube, and Spotify. You can also support us through Patreon, patreon.com/SoWizardPodcast, where you can donate and receive bonus content from the show. Shout out to all of our podcasting buddies all over the world in the Geek World All-Stars Podcast and Network. Back to you, Joey.
Hello, ladies. How'd you like to spend a little quality time with this sexy bod, huh?
For some reason, I've been wanting to hear that all day. I don't know why.
Oh, boy. Okay. So, Marcellus, you tell me that we have some news, so let's hit it.
Yo, pump it up. It's time for the news. Yo, we getting ready to bring you the news, boy.
Okay, so this week in nerdy news, a couple of things happened. Let's start with a new trailer that dropped this week. It's for a movie called Project Power. It's starring Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It looks like a superhero movie, kind of. It's basically a story where kind of like that Bradley Cooper movie Limitless, where you take a pill and it gives you powers. The only thing about these pills is that you don't know what superpowers you're going to get. And it could be, it could lead to a bunch of things. It can be invisible. You can be Human Torch. Who knows? It's from the directors of Catfish. So take with that what you will. I don't know. I think the trailer looks cool. It's a lot of flashy explosions. And, it's on Netflix, so we don't have to go anywhere to check it out. But I don't know. I think it might be cool. What did you guys think of the trailer? Let's start with Aubrey.
I thought it looked really cool. It's a really cool concept. I haven't seen like the movie Catfish, so I don't quite. I've heard it's good actually as a documentary goes. I haven't watched it though, but and the trailer looked pretty good. Well, the teaser or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. All right, Joey. What about you, man? What'd you think of this trailer?
I thought it looked pretty cool, especially for a Netflix movie. It's weird they keep seeming to get bigger and bigger budgets and bigger stars for these things. So, I mean, good on Netflix, especially for us as a current events movie news and review podcast. In coronavirus, it's great to have somebody still putting out movies. I wish they would announce this stuff with a little more time. Because this trailer came out, I want to say like 2 or 3 days ago, and it's already, they're like, all right, the movie drops in August. Like, oh, well, I kind of already had August planned out. So could you guys like move it back to September or something? Like, so yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to do it for the podcast. It looks like a cool concept. We'll see what they can do with it. I don't know if it's an original concept or it's based on some obscure independent comic book I've never heard of, but it looks cool. How old is Jamie Foxx at this point? Like,
He's got to be
in his 50s, right?
Yeah, he's got to be like in lower 50s.
I guess black don't crack because he's still playing like a guy in his 30s at this point.
As long as he doesn't look like Samuel L. Jackson in Captain Marvel, then that's fine. You can play you can play however old he wants.
That CG was great, but sadly he still had to run at some point. So. But yeah, him and Tom Cruise could team up again in something and be like old guys that look about 30 years younger in something. So yeah, I mean, I'm all in. I'll check it out. Obviously, we'll do it for the podcast because it looks cool. Hopefully it can live up to the trailer, and hopefully they didn't give too much away in the trailer because that always sucks. But Marcellus, what about you? What did you think of this thing?
Yeah, I think it looks cool. I think there's I'm never going to forgive Christopher Nolan for making Joseph Gordon-Levitt Robin in that Batman movie. So when they made the Batman and Robin joke, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Damn you, Nolan. But
you were willing to forgive him for some guy fixing Batman's broken back by tying a rope around him.
I would totally buy into that. That's some mystical, weird stuff that happens that doesn't happen in normal neighborhoods. So that's fine. I totally buy into that. I'll buy the mystery flower that's a hallucinogen from the first movie. I'll buy the Joker having tailored clothes, but with no way of tracking it down. I'll buy all of that. I'm not going to buy him going, oh, my middle name is Robin, or my first name is Robin, or whoever the fuck it was. Boo! Fuck out of here with that. But we'll see. We'll see. It looks cool. All right, so the next the next topic is one that's very familiar to us. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. We got another trailer for the New Mutants. Oh my God. The first time we talked about this was October of 2017. The first trailer that came out. The first teaser that came out was October 2017. So here we are, year of our Lord, July 2020. We're finally going to get the New Mutants. Or at least they dropped a teaser. They didn't say what was happening with it. But thanks to our buddies in Australia / New Zealand, we got to look at a commercial that leaked The Mutants is coming out September 4th on Disney Plus, where everyone has been saying it should be for the past year or so. So we got some more look at the footage. We got a release date finally. Joey, are we excited for New Mutants at this point?
No. I wasn't that excited about it when it was first coming out because it's Fox X-Men universe. My excitement comes from the fact that this is possibly a colossal train wreck. So, that's always exciting. I mean, it feels like it's reached like this legendary status, like it was never going to come out. Like, what is this? Is it going to actually happen? I think it's going to happen, and it's going to be mostly it'll be a wet fart of a movie. I feel like it's just going to be a very blah 2.5 out of 5 Fox X-Men movie. And that's it. I am excited for Anya Taylor-Joy as my number 1 X-Men waifu Magic. So hopefully they don't screw that up. From what I've seen in the trailers and footage, it looks like that may be one of the few things they don't screw up in the movie. So I'll be happy if we can just get that. And I actually can watch the movie. I have a feeling it's going to get pushed back again. Maybe they're just going to keep pushing it back just to fuck with us.
That would be hilarious. I actually kind of want that now.
They should have someone announce it on stage at San Diego Comic-Con at home that it's coming out and have some big hoopla September 4th, Disney Plus, and have somebody else walk out on stage and then cancel that immediately and push it back.
It'd be like the Academy Awards where the guy runs on stage and he's like, oh no, Moonlight. Moonlight's
right, Moonlight won.
All right, so Aubrey, what about you? What did you think of this new footage for New Mutants? And are you excited that it's finally going to be available to watch on Disney Plus?
It looks okay. I hope that it's good. I am reserving judgment until I see it. But, if they do a really good job, I'll be excited.
Yeah, it's going to be, the trailer was a lot of flash, pow, bang stuff. So, it could be cool. I will say that the one part of the trailer where they're like the kids are like looking out to something and they're like, oh no, it's Magic. And then Magic turns around and she's like, so am I. I'm like, boo. Christopher Nolan wrote this? What the hell? Get out of here with this.
She's like, we really are the New Mutants.
She looks in the camera and winks.
If Anya Taylor-Joy dressed as Magic is winking at me, this is a 5 out of 5 movie.
But I'm telling you right now, in a year of Bloodshot, this is easily going to be a 3 out of 5 movie for me. I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, it can't possibly be worse than Bloodshot, right?
So we'll see. I'm excited. All right. So then the last bit of somewhat big news. It looks like Game of Thrones is coming back. They are starting production on the prequel, Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. Now, I know a lot of people are really upset about the way the original series ended. I don't know. I checked out season 4, so I'm sorry. But HBO is determined to keep this franchise alive somehow. Yeah, we're getting a new Game of Thrones TV show for HBO. So, seeing how this is going to be a big deal in a couple of years whenever it comes out, I just wanted to know what you guys thought of a possible prequel, a possibly good prequel to Game of Thrones. Aubrey.
I'm wondering if it's going to be based on the book Fire and Blood, because I think it's called House of the Dragon. And the book Fire and Blood is a prequel, and it's mostly about the Targaryens. So I kind of wonder if it's going to be based off of that. I don't know why they wouldn't just call it Fire and Blood at that point, but I'm I'm excited. I hope that they do it justice. The book is kind of a little bit weird, but it has dragons in it, so it should be really cool.
There you go. So there's dragons in it. There better be dragons in it because it's in the title.
Yeah.
All right. Joey, what about you, man? I know you're still kind of upset about the season finale, but if there's some more like Amelia Clark Targaryens running around, is that enough to pique your interest?
Fuck Game of Thrones. I'm so mad about how shitty that last season was and how dirty they did my girl Dany in it. Like, fuck that show and fuck Game of Thrones. That's how I feel about it. I'm not interested at all. I'm not going to sit here and say I won't watch it because you know what? I know that I will at the very least watch the pilot. And if that is really good, then I'll be like, oh, it's okay, Game of Thrones. I forgive you. But sitting here right now, fuck that show. Mm-hmm. Especially with Amazon has Lord of the Rings and a Wheel of Time adaptation coming in the next couple of years. Like I feel like my fantasy itch is going to be scratched, and I don't need Game of Thrones trying to come back into my life and be like, hey, baby, remember seasons 1 through 6? No, go away. Get out of here.
All right, yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I know that they filmed, this is like the second, they had put 2 productions into play for Game of Thrones prequels. And they did one that was like, it was headed by a woman who used to work on Buffy, actually. It had like mostly women cast. And they actually went out and filmed like the pilot and, brought it to HBO, and HBO was like, nah, just throw that away. So it's strange that this is the one that the one that they already spent money on and filmed isn't going to make it. But this one has already got like a 10 episode commitment, and they haven't even shot one piece of footage yet. It's very strange.
I wonder how bad that pilot was that they looked at it and said, yeah, we're not going to air that.
Yeah, it must have
They spent millions and millions of dollars on it.
Yikes, that must have been awful.
I wonder if it was as bad as that Wheel of Time pilot that aired at like 3 a.m. randomly on TV stations.
Okay, all right. So now we're gonna wheel out the Colt 45 Give a Fuck meter and just get some thoughts on a few remaining topics. With a score of 0 to 5, let's start with Tenet. Christopher Nolan is supposed to be our savior. He's supposed to bring movies back. It's like Justin Timberlake brings sexy back. He's supposed to be bringing back the big movies, but Tenet has been delayed again, indefinitely, actually. They don't even have a date. They have no idea when this movie is coming out. So the anticipation of this movie is getting way out of hand. What do you guys think of Tenet being delayed indefinitely? 0 to 5. Let's start with Aubrey.
0. I stopped caring about this movie once it got delayed a million times. No, I don't care anymore.
Perfect. Joey, what about you, dude?
I will go the complete opposite direction and go with a 5 out of 5 on the Give a Fucks meter, because to me, I really want to see this movie, and it is supposed to signal movies coming back. Like, this was supposed to be the big movie that reopens the movie theaters, and now who the fuck knows when we're going to the movies again? Going to the movies is such a big part of my life, and it was before the podcast, and it especially is now as part of the podcast. I was going to the movies like 4 or 5 times a month for 6 years. And now I haven't gone since fucking March. It sucks. Bring the movies back immediately, starting with Tenet.
Joey is making like a little hologram image to be mailed directly to Christopher Nolan of him like, help us, Christopher Nolan. You're our only hope.
He's going to send his apprentice, Darth Maul, to help us. But what about you, Marcellus?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I mean, I like Christopher Nolan. Don't get me wrong. Dark Knight is one of the most classic movies of all time. Inception is amazing. But and even Dunkirk is good. I even like Dunkirk.
Inception, starring my personal MySpace friend Ellen Page.
Oh my god, we're gonna put a pin in that one. We're gonna come back to that. So yeah, I'm not getting my getting all excited over a Christopher Nolan movie. Whatever. Give me the Black Widow movie. That's all I really care about. And I can wait. If I have to wait until Christmas time or next year, I can wait. It's fine. Okay, so, geez, it's supposed to be a lightning round. All right, so second spot. Star Wars is coming back in animated form. The Bad Batch is spinning off and getting their own series. The Bad Batch was a few episodes that came towards the end of the Clone Wars cartoon show for the last season. Kind of a group of renegade clones that kind of did things on their own terms. This one will take place after the show, so the field is kind of wide open for their adventures. Now, Joey, you have been watching the Clone Wars. I know you're not quite to those episodes yet, but is another Star Wars show kind of set in that aftermath of what you've been watching? Is that exciting for you? 0 to 5?
2.
What season are you on for Clone Wars?
I'm still stuck on season 4. With the hours ramping up at my second job, I haven't had a chance to sit down and keep working through it. And honestly, like, it started to get a lot better, and then season 4 jumped right back into like Jar Jar and just bullshit, and I just don't have the oomph to go back and plowing through it, especially when I'd rather be sleeping. So we'll see. I'll get there eventually. Probably by the time this comes out, I'll be hopefully done with Clone Wars. But I'm just not excited yet because I still haven't seen the like big thing that's going to make me like just enamored with Clone Wars. Like, I like it a lot, but I don't love it. And I see people that just fucking love it. And I'm like, where is this? Where is this hook? And we're fucking 4 seasons in now. When am I going to get hooked on this? And it hasn't happened yet. So hopefully, but we'll see.
I will say the last season that introduces the Bad Batch is really good. It's really, really good. I haven't watched the whole season, but I mean, I haven't watched the whole show, but I definitely watched the last season. It's awesome. All right. Aubrey, what about you? 0 to 5. How do you feel about a new Star Wars Clone Troopers TV show?
I'm also going to give it a 2. I haven't watched Clone Wars. I'm only excited just because it's Star Wars, so we'll see. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about it.
All right. 2. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1 because, like I said, even though I liked the last season, the Bad Batch episodes were just kind of compared to everything else. Okay, and then the last bit of somewhat news. Keanu Reeves, the guy who just can't be stopped, is dipping his toes into the comic book arena. He's going to be writing a book called Berserker, a 12-issue series from Boom Comics, where he plays they didn't really go into many details, but it's supposed to be a kind of a look on violence and violence tendencies. If the book is successful, he did entertain the idea of possibly bringing it to life on a big screen, a la Kingsman. How that was a comic book that was almost designed to be on a big screen. So, yeah, Keanu Reeves writing a comic book. Are we excited to see him, the king of action, do an action comic book? Joey, 0 to 5.
I'll give it a 4. There is definitely a long list of celebrities who wrote or worked on comic books that are terrible. Tyrese comes to mind. There's just a ton. J.J. Abrams, there's just a lot of really bad celebrity comic books. But there's also been some good ones. Gerard Way was a lead singer of My Chemical Romance. He's actually the creator of Spider from Into the Spider-Verse. He's written some really good comics, and there's some other ones as well. So it could go either way. I'll have to see at least one issue of it to see where we're at. We'll see like what it's going to be. Did he just come up with like the basic plot outline and ideas and then just hands it off to other people that actually know what they're doing, or is he actually writing it? But if the end around of it is going to get me another Keanu Reeves action movie, I guess I'm all in.
There you go. Think about the long game. There you go. All right, Aubrey, what about you? Are you excited for the homeboy Keanu Reeves to become a comic book writer? Is that a book that you might be interested in? 0 to 5.
Yeah, I also give it a 4. I really love Keanu Reeves. I haven't seen anything that I haven't liked that he's been in. And from what I was reading, it kind of sounds like it's going to be like John Wick. So I think that'll be really cool.
Does that mean you've never seen Johnny Mnemonic?
Nope, I have not.
It's terrible. And Jen fell asleep in the movie theater when we went to see it.
I'm surprised she went.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. No one was checking for Keanu Reeves back in the day. So I will give it a 2. There is a John Wick comic book, and I tried to read some of it, and it's okay, but it didn't really grab me. So seeing it in comic book form might be a little different. I agree with you, Joey. If that's what it takes to get a new Keanu Reeves action movie, then I'm all for it. Bring it on. All right. So, so that's it. That's it for the news.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our review of Warrior Nun on Netflix.
Hello, I'm Ood Gallifrey.
I'm Sage Murray.
And I'm Leon Felger.
And we are the Occulte Veritatis podcast. We talk about anything that intrigues, horrifies, or interests us, including true crime,
serial killers,
military conspiracies,
and other mysteries and horrors of reality. So get cozy with your favorite alcoholic beverage.
Smoke a joint or two.
Only if it's legally purchased medicinal marijuana, of course. And tune in. We would love to have you.
You would.
You can find all of our links, all of the ways you can subscribe, and the rest of our bullshit at www.ovpod.ca. We hope you listen in soon.
And we're back. All right, guys. First season of Warrior Nun dropped on Netflix a few weeks ago, and we all had a chance to check some of it out. So we're going to give you our review. As always, there'll be spoilers, but we're going to delineate those with the sound drop. So to start, there will not be spoilers, just in case you haven't watched it yet and you just want to get some impressions. And we'll kind of get started. But first things first, Aubrey, were you familiar with Warrior Nun as a comic book?
I was not.
All right. And how many episodes of this were you able to watch?
1.
All right. We'll put a pen in that. We'll be right back. Marcellus, how about you?
No, I was not familiar with it being a comic book, but it sounds like a comic book. Warrior Nun just has that name to it. I watched the whole thing, all the way to 10.
Wow. Okay. I was familiar with the comic book. It was from the same company that published one of my favorite comic books of all time, Ninja High School. Is on my all-time, I would say it's in my top 5 all-time comic books. And this is another title that they put out, and I did read a few issues of it. Not really my thing, but I was excited enough to say we've got to watch this for the show. I made it through 5 episodes of Warrior Nun. So I guess we'll get started. Non-spoiler, Aubrey, what did you think of Warrior Nun?
I did not like it. I only watched 1 episode, so I don't know if it gets better after that 1 episode, but it was too dark. I could barely see what was going on. You need to have subtitles to really even know what's going on, and that is extremely annoying for me.
All right. Marcellus, what did you think?
Yeah, so, Joe, you started watching this before we did. And
yeah, I tried to get ahead of you guys because, we have the show planned out weeks in advance, and I don't know what happened, but somehow I was ahead of you guys in watching movies. I'm like, well, I'll get ahead of these guys and go ahead and watch all of Warrior Nun. That was my plan. I don't know why I sounded like Alan Thicke from like a infomercial there. You may even find a little romance with all that Vegas has to offer. But that's a deep fucking cut for somebody out there. But go ahead.
Yeah, so you started watching it before we did, and you were not impressed with it at all at the beginning, from what I gathered from your cryptic messages. So, I started watching it, and first episode, I'm like, what is Joey talking about? This show is great. Second episode, I'm like, what the hell is Joey talking about? This is going to be amazing. I'm digging it. Third episode, I'm down. Fourth episode, I'm like, oh, all right, a little stumbling block. That's all right. That's all right. We'll get it back. And then it just went downhill from there. It was like a roller coaster going straight to hell.
Yikes. All right. Well, like I said, I had read the comic, so I had a little bit of background. I got to be honest, it took me 4 tries to get through the first episode. It took me 4 tries to get through episode 1. I hated this show. I hated it. This is probably the worst television show I have watched all year.
No.
The worst.
No way.
The worst. This is the worst TV show I've watched all year. I'm sorry. It sucks balls. Like, if I could have a choice, like, let's say, like, the devil appeared and was like, hey, you could finish these 5 episodes of Warrior Nun that you haven't seen, or this 500-pound man can rub his taint all over your face. I'd be like, all right, rub away, because fuck this show. Sucks balls. It was awful and stupid. Fuck this show. All right. Anyone have any other non-spoiler thoughts?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aubrey.
No, I was saying not really, but if you do, go for it.
So I'm going to say it's not as bad as Joy is making it out to be. If you can make it past episode 5, then I would say keep going. Keep going just to finish it out. But yeah, if you can't make it past episode 1 or 2, then don't even bother. You're just going to hate yourself when it's over.
All right, Marcellus is going to play our sound drop that delineates spoilers, and then we're going to spoil Warrior Nun.
Spoiler alert! I had seen the future, and I had to prevent it.
All right. Aubrey, was there anything that you liked about this show? Did anything step out to you and say, even a little bit, keep watching?
No. I mean, it's a good concept. I'm sure I'd like the comics a lot more. But honestly, it was so dark for the majority of the first episode that it just made me angry, and I didn't even care about what was going on. I'm sure it would be good if I didn't have to read subtitles to know what was going on.
All right. Marcellus, how about you? You seem, out of the three of us, you are the most positive. Is this a higher ranking than Bloodshot? That's what we need to know. But for real, though, what are some things you liked about this?
So I absolutely love the main actress, Alba Baptista. This is her first English speaking part. And I thought she was absolutely amazing. I thought she was super adorable. She had it's kind of a tightrope to balance. A lot of it depends on her writing. And even though the writing wasn't great, what she did with it was amazing. So I am looking forward to whatever she does in the future. I think she's just super talented, and I think she did a really good job giving the hand that she was dealt. I like the setup. I like the idea of these nuns that are like kicking ass. There was one nun, I can't remember her name, who did you got to see like the full warrior nun in action. A lot of this is this new girl who's, fish out of water, learning the trade. But to see like a full, it's like almost like watching a Jedi, like in her prime. Seeing a warrior nun go like full on was really cool. It happens like halfway through the show. I like all of the actresses. I like the characters. And yeah, I like the visual style too. We watch so many TV shows that are, take place in the same like 4 blocks of a city or inside of a warehouse. It was nice that the locale was actually like beautiful and different and unique. So, yeah, like the setting, like the actors, like the very beginning of the story, like the setup.
All right. Well, what did I like about this show? Sister Beatrice was very cute.
Okay.
That's all I got.
You didn't like the main girl?
No, I didn't like Great Value Ellen Page at all.
Dude, she is... I mean, no offense to star of Inception, Ellen Page, but...
In my personal MySpace friends, don't forget.
This girl is 20 times hotter than Ellen Page.
Not possible.
Totally possible. Totally possible. And she's adorable. She reminded me of... she does resemble Ellen Page, but she reminded me of the girl from like Happy Death Day. She just has like this great personality, this bubbling personality that's easy to watch, that you want to see what happens.
I don't know. She's not really a strangely attractive 4 out of 10, so she's definitely not Ellen Page.
You're right. You're absolutely right. She is definitely not a 4 out of 10. I will agree with you there.
Let's see. What did I like about the show? Some of the fights were cool. It takes a long time to get there, but I think it's episode 4 or 5 when, and I don't remember which character it was. I think we're talking about the same scene. One of the nuns breaks into the high-rise building.
Yep.
She has the mask on that's like all beads.
Yep.
And she just goes ham on like all their fucking security guards and everything. That was awesome. I'm sitting there and I'm like, it took almost 5 hours to get to this point of finally having nuns that are warriors and an awesome kick-ass action scene. I couldn't believe how cool that scene was, but it still wasn't enough to make me hit next episode at that point. But that was a really cool scene. Other than that, there's not much here for me, man. I don't know if it's because I'm not the target audience or maybe I'm just overtired, but man, I fucking hated this show. So let's go into what we didn't like. Aubrey, you couldn't make it past 1 episode. You said it was kind of dark. What other things didn't you like about this?
It just really wasn't my type of show. I like Constantine, and I like stuff like that. Da
So
Vinci
it seems like
Code.
this would be right up your alley, then.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, but it couldn't hook me. And I don't know if that's just because I was so annoyed by the visuals, and maybe if I watched more than one episode, maybe it would be able to hook me. But the first episode just couldn't do it for me. And so I'm pretty disappointed that I didn't like it, because I thought for sure with that type of theme and concept, I'd be like, oh, this is really cool. But I couldn't do it. It's like Supernatural. I try so hard to watch Supernatural, and I can never get past season 1. Takes too long.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bother watching that show. I'm just going to take everyone's word for it. I'll wait for the Supernatural movie to come out in 10 years.
There's way too many seasons at this point now.
Just
for
ask
me.
Nikki to explain it to you.
I know. I really should. But there's just like way too many seasons at this point by now. I'm way too busy to dedicate myself to finishing Supernatural. And that's how I kind of felt with this show. Like, you couldn't hook me after the first episode. I'm way too busy to continue on. Maybe when I don't work as much and I have nothing else to do, I'll watch more of it and I'll feel differently about it. But you needed to hook me in that first episode.
That's kind of how we are nowadays with peak television. Like, if you don't get me within the first episode or so, I'm walking away. I'm never going to think about it again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Marcellus, I know you're over here gushing about Warrior Nun. How about some things you didn't like?
You know, I wish I had that kind of that desire to, or not that desire. I wish I had that ability to just like walk away from a show when I'm halfway through it. Because once it started to go downhill, like, I should have walked away. But I needed to see how it ended. I knew it was going to have like a ending. I knew it was just going to have like, I knew all of the pieces were going to come into place. You know, it's set up very much like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type of thing, where it's a new wisecracking girl inside of this new thing that she has to learn the rules, and, you know, people in there don't like her, and, you know, it's basic hero's journey. But I knew the ending was going to be worth it. It was going to have a nice third act, and holy shit, this is hands down one of the worst endings of any TV show I've ever seen.
You can just go ahead and spoil it, because I'm never going to finish it.
So they set up that there's a priest that's it's like a mystery, and there's a main priest that's like responsible for the death of one of the other warriors that kind of sets this whole thing in motion. So, you know, they kind of set him up to be the villain, and, you know, it's pretty obvious, especially when you cast the guy from Desperado, the main bad guy from Desperado. It's like, there is no way this guy's the good guy. And then you get to the end and you find out that, yeah, he actually was the good guy, and the good priest that was with him the whole time, he was the one that was behind it all. And it leads to this big battle with they finally get to where they're supposed to go. They're trying to break into the Vatican to steal the bones of the original angel because it's super powerful. And they break into the Vatican, they get to the temple, and it turns out that the angel is there this whole time. And he's not really an angel, he's a devil. And the halo he stole, and he wanted it returned to him. So they gear up for this big battle with this devil/angel, and he turns like most of the city or most of the people in the train station into zombies, and they go after it's the 5 warrior nuns against, 100 zombies, and cut to black. That's it. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. If it had even a slight bit of, we're going to end this like an adventure story or like any other superhero story or any other hero's journey, I would be okay with that. But it never happened. It never came along. And I was so disappointed with it. I was so pissed when he got to the end of it. So if there is a season 2, I'm out. I am completely out of it.
The funny thing is they wrote and filmed that, Mark, and they still have not been greenlit for a season 2.
Yeah, they're not getting it. They're not.
No, I don't know if they are or not. And they wrote that fucking ending like that without even having knowledge of if they were going to get a season 2 or not. So, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, and the special effects for the demon. Those are horrendous. Those are horrendous.
Those effects were not very special.
I understand the budget was limited, but geez, that they didn't even try to hide it. They didn't even like film it in darkness to try to like cover it up. They're like, nope, here it is. PS3 graphics are right in your face.
Somebody could have just held up a picture on a stick. It would have looked better.
But yeah, that's it. Like some of the Marvel Netflix shows, it's a 4 or 5 episode show spread out over way too many episodes.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. I wish, honestly, like I really like that. Whatever, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5, whatever episode it was where the girl it breaks into that building and is fighting. If that had been the open of the fucking series, that's your first scene, I would have just sat there for 10 hours and watched the fucking thing. But god damn, it is a slog and it is long and boring. And how do you call a show Warrior Nun and there's no nuns and there's no fucking warriors for like 3 hours? Jesus. It just right when it starts off, and I'm sure that this was killing you too, Aubrey, in episode 1. Like it just starts and everybody's talking like blah 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 about all this stuff, and like they don't explain what the fuck is going on or what's what or who's who. Like I kept having to check Internet Movie Database to be like, who is this character? What is this? And it's not like I'm like my mom or somebody that doesn't watch sci-fi or action or horror stuff. Like I could barely keep track of who the fuck was who in this show. And then what's her name? Great Value Ellen Page gets brought back to life. And then she meets up with the Burger King Kids Club of Diversity. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, no. Because I knew right away it was going to go right into stupid, like, teenage bullshit. And it does. It's been so much time on this guy I have a crush on. And maybe he has a crush on me. Like, it was fucking stupid. Like, what does this have to do with warrior nuns? Oh, God, that pissed me off.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, the worst. And then the narration killed me. The first person narration at times, but not throughout the whole show, just at times. It's fucking killed me. Like, why? Why do we suddenly get to hear her thoughts, but then we don't for like 20 minutes, and then we do again, and then we don't? Like, either that's happening or it's not happening. Like, it was killing me. It was every time she would talk to herself or / to us, it fucking killed me. I was like, this is awful. Fuck this show. Like, oh my God. And you are 100% right. The special effects on the demon was just, oh my God, that was bad. It looked like Resident Evil 1, the movie.
Exactly.
Jesus. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah. I fucking hated the show. I'm so disappointed. I thought this might have been a kind of cool, kitschy thing to watch, and it was just, it's so bad. Oh, wow. So I'm not going to watch any more of it. Aubrey, you said maybe?
If I have nothing else to do, I might.
So that's a no.
Yeah.
And Marcellus, you already finished it, but what do you watch a season 2?
There is no way I'm going to watch a season 2 unless, well, you know, I'll take that back. I'll watch the first episode because I really think that the main actress is adorable. And, yeah, her inner monologue was annoying, but some of those jokes were kind of cute. I enjoyed it. So I won't watch all of season 2, but I'll definitely watch the first episode. But let's be honest, there's not going to be a season 2, at least not in Netflix form. Looking forward to the Netflix comic book of Warrior Nun season 2.
Jesus, the motion comic.
Exactly.
Yeah, I ain't watching shit. Fuck this shit. Let's get it a score. 0 to 5. 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. Aubrey, what do you got?
I'm going to give it a 0.
Jesus.
Because as it stands, I do not intend on watching the rest of it.
No problemo. Marcellus, how about you?
I'm going to give it a 2. I really wanted to score it higher because it does have a nice setup, but the ending is so fucking bad that it negates any kind of goodwill that they built up. So giving it a 2 out of 5.
All right. I'm going to give it a half star out of 5. 0.5 out of 5, only because I thought the actress that played Sister Beatrice was a cutie pie. Otherwise, fuck this show. God, don't watch it. Go, you know what? Pull up a chair and stare at a wall in your house, and it'll be more exciting than watching this show. That's all I have to say. Fuck this show. So that's Warrior Nun on Netflix. Sorry, guys, if you tuned in looking for a glowing review, you just didn't get it. But let's get some recommendations and wrap it up. Aubrey, what do you got for the listeners out there?
Recommend everybody go watch Cursed on Netflix. It has Catherine Langdon. Yeah, Langdon. She was in 13 Reasons Why. She was also in Knives Out. It's a show that's supposed to be like a prequel to King Arthur, but it's actually trending on like #1 across the boards right now. So I watched a little bit of it. It looked pretty good. It has Catherine Langdon in it, so it's caught my attention. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I remember seeing the previews for that on Netflix as I had to keep watching episodes of Warrior Nun, and I kept thinking, why didn't we do that instead? All right, Marcellus, how about you?
It's funny that this week's episode of a Netflix TV show, Aubrey recommends another Netflix TV show. Because I'm going to do the exact same thing. Another Netflix show that I watched that it didn't premiere on Netflix. It was actually on ESPN, but it's on Netflix now. It's a show that Joy was talking about before. It's a documentary about Michael Jordan called The Last Dance.
Oh, yes.
I'm about halfway through, and it is so much better than I was expecting. Because I didn't really watch a lot of trailers, and they have been putting it on TV, on regular TV, and I've been catching like little snippets here and there. But watching it from the beginning, the way that they divide it up and they jump around in time, it's really fascinating. And the fact that it dives so much more into just Michael Jordan is amazing. It really touches on a lot of different aspects of the Chicago Bulls during that time. So it's a really good documentary. It's on Netflix now. So if you're like me and didn't catch it before, now is a really good time.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mark. That is my TV show of the year as of right now. So
nice.
It's so good. But I will suggest that you go to SoWizardPodcast.com where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media accounts on the right-hand side of the page. Movie reviews, streaming picks, so much more. SoWizardPodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, just about any podcatching app under the sun. We will be there. Check out our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search So Wizard Podcast. Tons of free, exclusive content. Adam's got some new unboxing videos coming soon, so get ready for that. Don't forget you can support us monetarily on Patreon and get exclusive episodes of the podcast. Coming up next month is going to be our review of Hamilton from Disney Plus exclusively on Patreon. Patreon.com/So Wizard Podcast. I will suggest on Netflix. I've been watching episodes of a show called Alone. This is a reality show. They take 10 people and drop them off in the middle of nowhere. This season that's on Netflix, season 6, is the Arctic. They drop them off at different places. They're not together. They can't meet up with each other. They're just completely alone. And there's a $500,000 prize. Last person standing wins the money. And it goes as long as it has to go. So they have a satellite phone where they can check in and tap out. And that's it. They just have to survive until they're the last person standing and they get all the money. And it's crazy.
Wait,
it's so good.
I have a question. How do they get taken out of the show? Like by wolves, or like what is the thing that causes one person to be off the show?
So it's kind of like people could get hurt or they just can't fucking deal with it.
Oh, so they quit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I gotcha.
Like they have to forage for all their own food. They have to build their own shelters. They have to everything. They get like a little bit of supplies. Like you can take like a certain supply. Like most of them will take a fire starter, but you can not take the fire starter and maybe take something different, like a net, like different things. So they're basically just thrown out there with bare minimum supplies. They're not naked and afraid, but it's if you like those kind of shows, which I do, it's very interesting. So, and some of the stuff that happens to them is wild. So it's great. Alone on Netflix is the title, and that, my friends, is going to do it for episode number 312 of the So Wizard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey DiCarlo. My co-hosts have been the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield.
Danger, Will Robinson.
That's another Netflix show. Sorry. And the expert, Mr. Marcellus Reagan.
This week's episode of So Wizard has been brought to you by Netflix and by Nuns. Everybody have a good week and Wakanda forever.
Fucks given, none. We'll see you guys next week. Good journey.